My first video back of the year. And this might not even go out until like mid-February. Oh my goodness. Hi, my name is Toki, aka your local internet friend, and I am making this video for two separate reasons. Because I feel like I had to explain not only why I started Luna's Vision, The Greatest Illusion, I also want to go ahead and talk about the aftermath of doing such a project. The internal aftermath, basically how it has changed me as a person, but also what I've been up to ever since actually it started before I posted that video. What I've been doing from that moment forward. And because of the fact that I've been doing a lot and not really sitting down to write stuff, but also don't really have the journal capacity right now to be sitting down and writing stuff, I ended up writing it in my notes, as well as a list of things that I've been doing. The first thing I'm going to say is that entire project was supposed to be, I started it off as two separate things. My last ditch effort chance to see what I can do if I put my mind to if I put my mind and energy into doing YouTube. But this time with a very different purpose. Because the second thing that I wanted to do was also seem a bit more human. And like explain a lot of the stuff that I have to constantly deal with mentally, like consciously and subconsciously, and why doing YouTube has been so difficult for me. Creating YouTube content, that's what I mean by when I say do YouTube. I very specifically said, to be honest, I wanted for the project to give a sort of context I felt I was missing on my channel, and started to uncover the actual context I was actively missing, passively ignoring. In a way, this project forced me to dig deeper and validated what I was, to some extent, aware of, but didn't want to believe. You can basically say that this entire project for me was basically another form of shadow work. A very long shadow work prompt and way of getting myself back in, subconsciously getting myself back into my own spiritual practice, which I don't talk about as often. I'm gonna start doing that now, but and what I ended up getting out of the project, basically the aftermath of Luna's Vision, The Greatest Illusion. While the main point that I was trying to make throughout that entire project was how the illusion of control, not just within you, but within the people around you and our society as a whole, can affect you in so many ways that you're not even aware of most of the time. In fact, the name Luna's Vision specifically came from the moon card in tarot. Now, the moon card in tarot, for those who do not know, upright, because we're not getting into the whole reverse thing, tends to talk about things in the subconscious or unconscious part of your brain. Think of it as the moon itself being kind of like a flashlight, where you have the ability to like shine it in front of you and see what's in front of you, or shine it to the left of you and see what's on the left of you. This is my left, by the way. So it's stuff like that. It's discovering what's unseen through the lens of the light of truth. And with the greatest illusion itself being the illusion of control, the moon card is also about the illusions, what we might think we see in the dark. But once it is brought to light, the light of truth, either A, it doesn't seem all that scary, or B, you start to have a better understanding of it. And that's kind of what I needed to do. There were a lot of things that I did not process emotionally or wasn't completely aware of that wasn't fully processed, even though there was so much work that I've done prior to that. But it being in the subconscious brain means it's something that had to have been triggered. And that project itself, the writing prompts within that project itself, was the active trigger for a lot of the stuff that I ended up talking about within that project. What I ended up typing up was, that isn't to say I didn't do much beforehand, only that there was a way bigger amount that was deep in my subconscious that was only triggered by the project. One of the things I wanted to figure out within said project was, do I want to continue to do YouTube videos? And while the answer was technically yes, I also did not feel the drive to do it. So finishing this project as my main drive last year was actually one of the greatest things that I could have done for myself. But then having to figure out, what do I do afterwards? What would I want to do afterwards? And through processing, going through and handling a lot of the systematic cycles and what have you, brain stuff that was happening in my subconscious brain, I was finally able to figure out why I had so much, I want to say mental pushback, but like subconscious pushback. Like why there were certain things I just did not feel like doing. Or like one of my biggest issues at that time was, how do I get inspired to do something? And learning that all over again. But very detailed this time. But in the midst of doing all of the writing prompts that I did and exposing what I did, I found out why I had lost interest in writing, and that it wasn't just me. Instead of blaming myself like I would have initially, I dug through the mental mess that was how I perceived my environment and the people in it. I recognized how such things affected me and what exactly drained my drive to create. So after being able to comb through all of that, what have we gotten to? Well, one, the illusion that I was having to deal with was the lack of self-awareness. And sadly, I'm not the only one that has to deal with that. I just had the time and essentially created the system in which I could become aware of these things. So, with the example of I lost my drive to create, I had also found out that I didn't really lose my passion for creation, but my energy was being used specifically for other issues, so I did not have the capability of putting that energy towards the things I actually wanted to do, the things that would have fueled my drive to create, which is a bigger issue within our own society. But the issue that I was specifically having to deal with at home. And I eventually had to do an entire overhaul on how I was doing things, which was another reason that I gave this project an endpoint. That says and. So apparently it had been 2 days since I actually worked on this. I have it in the Notes app on my phone. I was supposed to use AN, and I ended up using AND. So the aftermath of this entire of doing this entire project is like twofold. It's layers. I ended up spending a lot of time specifically on having to edit my videos. Because of the fact that I had YouTube as the main thing I wanted to put my energy into, that ended up taking most of the week, and that left me with just maybe like 2 days out of that week where I did not have to think about making videos if I kept to the editing schedule, or even just the weekend. So not only was I having to deal with a lot of other things that was messing with my own sense of security and stability, I was putting a lot of energy into something that, while it felt satisfying to release videos, the amount of work that I put in having to keep my focus on the editing part did not... The type of satisfaction I ended up getting from releasing those videos was the concept of, it is out of my hands. I no longer have to work on it. Which meant that the editing itself was stressful because I had to work on focusing, and with me having to do a lot of working on trying to focus for more than like maybe 20-30 minutes at a time. Yeah, that didn't really go so well. To put it shortly, I ended up spending way too much time draining my drive and my focus on editing YouTube videos that I did not have enough time or mental capacity to do anything that would fill up said drive meter or said passion meter. Like using the wood to build, it's like having wood that's supposed to be going towards the passion fire, but instead you're using it specifically to solidify a better foundation for yourself. And once I was able to see that that was the problem, the second thing I had to do was figure out how to solve it, which I'm actually really good at. And with the knowledge I have acquired through this project, I can now work on putting together a system and integrating it into my life as soon as possible, which is what I did. So here's what I was able to get done. Now, this is not going to be what I got done within like a month's time. This is what I was able to get done in like 2 months' time. One, I started, because of the fact that I recognize I still like music and I still want to learn about music. One of the things I realized is there's a lot of stuff about music that I don't understand. So I'm giving myself a personalized music class. And I'm about to go through another video that is basically music theory for beginners. Because you shouldn't be getting your information from just one source. I got back into my spiritual studies, and this isn't just talking about the shadow work that I was doing disguised as the project. I ended up doing an entire 2 weeks of learning about the energy points in the body, or the 7 main energy points of the body that most people would tend to call chakras, but I'm not comfortable in using that terminology. And actually, seeing as though I finished writing the notes that I would need for integrating the information into my daily practice, I'm also going to be getting back into learning herbology or herbalism. I had planned to do an entire deep dive into Eminem's discography, and I've gone through at least the first 2 official albums that he has released. I have like 10 more to go. Because again, I like music, and one of the best ways to know that you've learned something is integrating it into your life. Well, while I was learning music theory, I also started working on making songs again. Nothing solidified, nothing finished, but we're taking that slowly, which I'm not gonna lie, I'm actually glad about, because I've been wanting to get back into writing songs for so long. Again, the last video I did for the project, but also the last video that I did for last year, really did show how, excuse you, passionate I get when it comes to analyzing music, and very specifically analyzing, oh no, okay, the charm that I had hanging on my phone has officially broke, and it has little crystals on it that were put on a string. I am glad the cat did not play with it this time. My passion for lyric analysis and music in general did not die. And last but not least, this is a bit more recent, I learned how to play Sudoku. And ended up getting this, ended up having my mom get this book from the dollar store so I can learn how to do it analog form. I learned from playing on an app, as one does. And so, seeing as though I want to get better at it, having an analog form. Overall, I'm doing pretty decent. I haven't been having as many, I don't want to be up to date days since I put that video out in general, but very specifically since the year has started. I think I've only had like maybe 1 or 2. So to put this entire video into a nice conclusion, a well-packaged conclusion, the aftermath of Luna's vision, The Greatest Illusion, is how I handle things from here on out. And yeah, no, that is all. I gotta wash my hair because I want to make sure that I get it blow dried before I have to make sure that my brother can get inside the apartment. So I've been your local internet friend, aka Toki, and this is Toki giving the first sign off of the year.